Hello guys, and since Israel, from the beginning of today, will have its memorial of all those who were actually have fought and fallen during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. This is exactly the original of the story. As we know, it is actually the Independence State War. Now, let's go on to the story. Hold on. It was followed by the Civil War during the Mandatory Palestine. Now, Mandatory Palestine, they're actually talking about the territorial that was before known as the Land of Israel. This part is actually during the British Mandate. Mandatory means mandate, British Mandate. As a second and final stage of the 1948 Palestinian War. Move on. The Civil War became a war of separate states continue on, I'll explain. Because Israel doesn't really have territorials. It's actually one small country. Move on. With the Israeli Declaration of the Independence in May 14th, 1948. Now, this war actually originally started in 1947. The end of the British, it was during the end of the British Mandate for Palestine. Again, territorial. At midnight. And then the entry of the militation coalition of the Arab states into the territorial of Mandatory Palestine. Again, during the British. It was really during the end of the British state in the mandatory here. The following morning, this war was formally ended with the 1949 Armistice Agreement, which established the Green Line. Now, the Green Line, which I'm talking about, is the Gaza Strip, as we know, Gaza, there's just the Strip, and the Samaritans. There's the three borders within a small country. The rest, which I'll show you, is Israel. Since the 1917 Balfour Declaration, and let's look into it. It was a public statement issued by the British government in 1947. Very interesting, right? During the World War I, which is true, announcing its support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people. Now, actually, here they're speaking about Israel. Now, originally, the peace talk was named originally the Jewish country. But there are several, I'm trying to think about a good word, I'll put it in, that will, in the Middle East and the world, will say that Israel, and as always back in the history, said and stated that Israel is not only for the Jewish people, as Balfour says it was, but no. Originally, no. We'll also look into that and tell you exactly what really was going on here. And then an Ottoman region with a small minority of Jewish population was also, during that time, we also had, and still have, but now it's the Christian community, actually the minority here in Israel. And that time it was also the Arab communities here in Israel, the minorities, as to the outcome of the flow beforehand and after, and during the Ottoman period, also the Jewish communities coming back from diaspora, along with the Arabs. The Arab countries communities actually came during 1819 from diaspora. They actually were having the same problems as the Jewish communities here in Europe, throughout Europe, by the Christians. But their problem was that they didn't like the way they were studying the Quran and Hebrew Bible. And what they wanted for them is to actually go back to Christianity, in their words. And they did not, they didn't want it. They didn't want it. Now, let's move on. The declaration, going back to the Balfour, was contained in a letter date of November the 2nd of the same year, 1917. From Arthur Balfour. Oh, let's put a link here and let you show the picture of how it actually looks. The British Foreign Secretary, Lord Rothschild, a leader of the British Jewish community, for transmission to the Zionist Federation of the Great Britain and Ireland. Ireland people, try getting their act together. So I think it's best stop there in the government. They forgot their history about Israel, about Balfour, Ireland, big thing here. To the next declaration was published in the press of November the 9th of the same year. Following Britain's declaration of the war on the Ottoman Empire in November 1914, it became to consider the future of the Palestine. Again, before the change of Israel happened. Within 2 months of the was circulated to the war cabinet by a Zionist member, Herbert Samuel, proposing the support of Zionist ambitions to enlist the support of Jewish in a wider war. A committee was established in April 1915 by British Prime Minister H.H. Asquith to determine their policy towards the Ottoman Empire, including Palestine, who had favored the post-war reform of the Ottoman Empire, resigned in December of 1916. This is going on and on and on.